Greetings. This is Doc Ock coming to you live and direct this new day. All right, here we are, back in the studio again. Black Facts Educational Research coming at you live and direct with Doc Ock at noon and 9. And you can tell and I'm feeling really fine because, every Friday is my birthday. Absolutely. And today, we've got a story for you to tell. We've been talking about all these people on the water, which I will get started with in just a minute. But today we're going to expand our scope to encompass some other aspects that you may not be familiar with. Maybe you are, maybe you're not, but we'll see. But I don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to skip the rhyme and just use my time as wisely as possible. So let's go with the proverb first. The horse who arrives early gets good drinking water. The horse who arrives early gets good drinking water. And that's a proverb from Zulu land, way down south in Zulu land. Got that proverb for today. Oops. Make sure that camera's on. There we go. All right. Sorry about that. Now, poem for today. This is a special one written by me. When two black bodies converge. Yeah. What happens when two black bodies converge? When two black bodies converge, they become even greater than before. They add to each other's energy and create a new synergy. When two black bodies converge, a totally new black body emerges, bigger, better, stronger, and faster than before. When two black bodies converge, the universe is altered as they add their combined energy to the universal mix. When two black bodies converge, it's a wonder to behold in the luminescence of their black light. When two black bodies converge, new universes unfold, for within those two black holes, a new universe will unfold. When two black bodies converge, their energy is massive as what once was two becomes one. There's a new synergy added to their energy when two black bodies converge. Yeah. How about that? And that's our poem for the day. Now, as we move on, in the world of ships and sailing, one of the old ancient traditions, I don't know how far back it goes or from which culture it comes, but one of the traditions that I'm familiar with is you don't bring women on your ship. For some reason, women were considered to be unlucky on ships. Now, why that is, I'm not quite sure. It could have to do with the fact that when all those pheromones start rolling around on that ship, that's all men and maybe, say, one woman, or maybe just a couple women, it creates havoc amongst the crew. Maybe it had something to do with that. I don't know. But there was this thing. So oftentimes when we're talking about sailing, particularly back in the day when we were sailing over the oceans, etc., it's rarely talked about any kind of roles that women played on ships, because even though that was that idea was in the minds of many of the sailors that it was bad luck to have a female on board, that didn't keep all the females off the ships. Because, the Puritans came here, they had women on their ships, obviously. Slave ships came, it was full of women. So the rule was often broken, but not just by those women who were being transported, but also by women who were directing. And we are going to talk about one of those women today. Now, the thing I'm not sure about is whether or not this particular woman actually went on the ship, or the ships that she sent south, or whether she just directed them to go where she wanted them to go, because she happens to be none other than Hatshepsut, Pharaoh of Egypt. Now, we typically only think of pharaohs as being men, but this woman ruled Egypt like a man. And so we'll see that here in the pictures. I'm looking for the best picture I can find of her. They've got one on the cover, but I don't know how it'll play online. So I'm looking to see if I can find a better one of her where her nose isn't chopped off, because once she was no longer in power, the men, well, the pharaoh that came behind her went and destroyed many of her images, as many of the images of Hatshepsut as he could, to try to wipe out the memory of her all together. So I'm looking to see what else do I have in here. Well, I might have to go with this one right here on the cover. So, yep, guess I'm gonna have to go with this one on the cover. So we'll go with this one right here. But you see, the problem is that the kind of stone it's made out of is that kind of multicolored stone. So it's difficult to actually make out all of her features. But you can get an idea of what she looked like from this image, though, for sure. Okay, so we're talking about none other than Queen Hatshepsut. Queen Hatshepsut. And she's one of the people that my professor, Dr. Jones, out of Seattle, Washington, that he featured in his book, Profiles in African Heritage. Profiles in African Heritage. So we're going, but you know what? Before I actually go there, I want to show you pictures that were drawn of her ship or ships. Okay, I want to show you these few images first before we go to the written part, because you know Dr. Jones, he can go on and on and on till the break of dawn. So I'm gonna show you this one here, and I don't know how well you'll be able to see it over this in this way, because for some reason they decided to do it in this red color as opposed to black. But here you can see some of I believe there's more than one ship. Yeah, that's definitely more than one ship. The Punt ships of Hatshepsut. So she actually sent a fleet of ships on a journey, an expedition from Egypt to the land of Punt, which is also known as Ethiopia today, or Nubia, probably back in the day. It's down around in that area, up the Nile River. And I believe she sent them down the Red Sea. They would have gone down the Red Sea to get there, because going up the Nile could be difficult because you got a lot of cataracts. Cataracts are small waterfalls. So that would have been really difficult for those ships to navigate those cataracts. They would have had to take them out the water and carry them on land for a while and then put them back in the water on several occasions. So that wouldn't be the best way to go. All right, so you have that picture there, and I'm gonna show you one more. This is the one that I was showing in the beginning. This is a better image. Okay, so this is the one you see when you first find this particular video, and there you go. You can see an artist's rendition of one of the ships that Pharaoh Hatshepsut sent from Egypt to the land of Punt. Okay, just to give you an idea. And then let's see, is there another one here? Oh yeah, there's a number of other pictures in here where they have cross sections of the ships, etc. Okay, and so they go into a lot of detail here in this book about these ships. We're not gonna go into all that. Okay, you know what? Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do this here. I'm gonna read out of this book here, because it's only a couple pages. Yeah, it's just a couple pages, and I can complete it within the time allotted. And then we may have to come back to Dr. Jones and his assessment of Hatshepsut. Maybe we'll do that on Monday as an extra. Okay, I don't want to do it on. Well, I might do it on Tuesday too, but not on the 4th. Okay, by the 4th we're gonna switch gears. So, New Kingdom, the Punt ships of Hatshepsut. This is out of the book, The Ships of the Pharaohs. Ships of the Pharaohs. Ships of the Pharaohs. Okay? So anybody who's interested in learning more about this, you can get this book. As you can see, it's a huge book. It's one of those big books. New Kingdom, the Punt ships of Hatshepsut. It is conceivable that no voyages were undertaken to Punt after the 12th dynasty until Queen Hatshepsut in the early 18th dynasty caused a fleet to be sent to this remote country, primarily to obtain incense, frankincense, and myrrh, in particular, for religious use. The expedition in question is magnificently portrayed in the Queen's burial temple in Deir el-Bahari, with the finest pictures of ships we have from the New Kingdom. They refer you to an overleaf. As the kings boasted of their deeds and exaggerated their importance, so Hatshepsut claims that, quote unquote, nothing comparable has ever been performed by any other king in this land, end quote. That sounds like a familiar quote. The relief portrays a total of 10 ships, 5 entering and 5 loading and departing. It is possible that the expedition consisted of only 5 ships. We must assume that the ships were built on the Nile, stripped down at Koptos, carried through Wadi Hamamat to Qusair on the Red Sea, and there reassembled. So just like we talked about the solar barge being taken apart and having coded hieroglyphic codes to indicate which piece went together with what other piece, how the pieces went together, they're saying that these ships were taken apart in a similar manner. So this is something the Egyptians apparently did on a regular basis, at least according to this author. After the dangerous voyage to Punt, and the equally dangerous return journey, the ships were stripped down again and carried back through the desert valley to Koptos with their cargo of many precious woods from the land of the god, together with quantities of fragrant gum and fresh incense, trees, ebony, ivory, pure gold from Amu, fragrant wood, kesset wood, ahim incense, holy gum, eye paint, dog-headed apes, long-tailed monkeys, dogs, and also leopard skins, and natives and their children. So in other words, more black folks, because who else was living down there? In Koptos, they were reassembled, loaded, and sailed to Thebes. The Punt ships were shaped like the ordinary traveling ships with keels and with stem and stern posts, but the stem concludes with a vertical phallic section. Oh, okay. So he's talking about the back end of the ship. And the stern post with the conventional papyrus umbel. That's that part that goes up around like that. Umbel. Only the hogging trusses distinguish them from ordinary Nile craft. These are fastened around the supporting belts that surround the hull fore and aft, on over forked stanchions like those on Sahur's ships, and are tightened with ropes that draw them down close up to the mast. The rudder arrangement is clearly shown on the reliefs and further clarified in the reconstructions. The Punt ships were no ordinary cargo vessels and have been correctly described as trading galleys built for fast voyages in dangerous waters. As usual, the ships in the relief lie far too high in the water, but their actual profile I have kept almost unchanged in the reconstruction in the overleaf. Otherwise, the shape of the hull is based on the previously mentioned models from the New Kingdom, with due consideration to the fact that their breadth is often too small. In other words, they're not wide enough. The reliefs were once painted, but only fragments of color remain. The details of the papyrus umbel are etched in, as are the typical ribbon decorations on a couple of the castles. On the angle support beneath one castle, we see faint traces of red rings. Otherwise, I found no trace of any decoration. The reconstruction is therefore decorated with caution. So he's talking here about this reconstruction that the artist did, the artist rendition of one of the ships that made up the fleet of ships that Hatshepsut sent down out onto the sea, the Red Sea. And this is the kind of thing that I'm talking about, that everybody, there are all these examples that we can deal with of Africans being on the water, but the Africans have been redesignated as not Africans to disguise the fact that we had a lot of knowledge about the seas, about how to navigate, and about how to engage in shipbuilding activities. So that in the present, as we study quote unquote history, it appears as though Africans have never gone anywhere. We were not adventurous. We just stayed at home under our palm trees and waited for coconuts to drop on our heads because we didn't know how to do no farming. And literally, this is the kind of drivel that's being taught to our medical students. How do I know this? Because I was in the class, pre-med biology, where the professor gave us a document stating that sickle cell anemia was brought about the downfall of Egypt, number one, which would indicate that people were black, but he didn't really say that, but it's indicated there because they had sickle cell anemia, which is known to be an African disease. Number two, that it caused agriculture to develop late in Africa. And number three, it caused Africans to be enslavable, that we were too weak to fight off the white slavers and their African lackeys that they sent into the interior to grab us up and kidnap our people and put them on ships and bring them over here to America. This is what we were given. I wish I still had that document, but I don't have the document with me anymore. But it was a document that was given to us in print as a study guide for the final exam in our pre-med biology course. That's course number one in terms of biology at Kent State University, 1980, probably about 82, maybe 83. No, it had been before that because then I was in grad school. So it had to been 1980 or 81, probably 1980. Okay, 1980, 79 to 80 is when I took that class. This is the kind of drivel that is being taught in our schools. And that's why I'm here doing what I do. That is exactly why I'm here doing what I do. Because this, in order to complete a task like this, to build a fleet of ships and send them out on the sea shows a knowledge of the oceans, navigating, the stars, astronomy, all those things are tied up in that. And then to go from point A to point B on the open ocean or the open sea, because the Red Sea has tides. It has storms. You have storms on that sea. They run tankers through there now. That's where these oil tankers, they go right through the Red Sea right now. So it's a big sea. You know, it's difficult to see. I don't think you can actually see all the way from one side all the way to the other side, because it's wider than the Mississippi River. It's wider than the Nile, okay, by far. So, and I know the Nile is wide enough to where you can't really see to the other side. So therefore, we're talking about a very serious ocean voyage. And if the Egyptians were engaged in that kind of seafaring, then the question is what other nations that they were affiliated with: the Nubians, the Axumites, the Ethiopians, the Sudanese. What other nations were also involved in these shipfaring expeditions, such as the Somalis? And we know for sure those Berbers over there, the Afar people, the Somalis. Okay, they're different names of these people that live all in that area, that they were engaged in going out onto the Red Sea because they were, quote unquote, acting as pirates. They were taking and demanding tribute from ships that were coming back and forth through the Red Sea. So something doesn't connect. There's a disconnect there as to why Africans are not known for our maritime culture, why there are no books on the maritime culture of African people. Now, if you watch the evening live streams I do, I'm doing on some other. I'm featuring some other African Americans that were also engaged in seafaring activities from this side and actually returned to Africa. So last night, I did Paul Kofi, right? This brother over here. So make sure to check out that particular live stream about Paul Kofi. This is an actual silhouette of the man, and here is his ship, and his name actually, Paul Kofi. The Kofi in there is just like one of my other names as well, Kofi, born on a Friday. So happy birthday today to Paul Kofi, because every Friday is his birthday, just like it's mine. Well, enough for today, because my time is gone. And I hope you got something beneficial from our adventure today. I think I'm going to do one more. I think tonight. Well, I want to come back and finish up on Queen Hatshepsut and just talk a little bit more about Queen Hatshepsut on Monday. But then tonight, I will be featuring Marcus Garvey. So we're going to go Black to Africa with Marcus Garvey, just to continue these stories of African adventurers on the open seas. Hopefully my stories all please. Meanwhile, if you want to support what we're doing, which we do need your support, we are not funded by any organization. We're not funded by any corporation. We're not funded by any grants. We are totally self-funded. The only funds we receive are the donations that you give. And we're looking for you to give so we can continue to live and relate these stories to you as long as we have breath to speak, eyes to see, and that there are ears out there to hear. Peace out. Without a doubt, we'll be black tonight. Be here. Don't miss it. It's going to be a stone gas. All right.